Hi, Duany. My name is Sarah Gergel, and I work on the Living Archives Project, where we are collecting stories of how COVID-19 impacted various communities in Charlotte, Mecklenburg County. Today is November 16th, 2022, and this week there were reported 127 cases of COVID-19 in the Charlotte, Mecklenburg County area, which shows a 23% increase over the last 2 weeks. However, we are comfortable not wearing masks today. Duany, would you introduce yourself?
I sure will. My name is Duany Morrison. I'm a children's librarian for the Charlotte Mecklenburg Public Library. I have dark curly hair. I wear glasses. I kind of have like olive skin, maybe. I always wear cardigans.
Okay,
It's the librarian's lab coat. That's our little joke. I am of Hispanic heritage. My family is from Puerto Rico, but I was born in New York.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Duany, for taking time to share your story with us. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
Will you tell me, how long have you lived in Charlotte?
So I've lived here for about 7 years.
7 years. And did you move from New York or somewhere else?
Yes. So I lived in New York, for about 35 years.
Wow.
In Brooklyn, and then decided to move down here to North Carolina.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And how do you like it?
It was a struggle at first.
Yeah.
It was very different, but definitely this is my home now. I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you are a children's librarian, is that correct?
Yes,
Awesome.
that's correct. Yes.
What kind of got you interested in like being a librarian and kids and all of that?
So I'm actually a former special education teacher.
Okay.
I worked with special needs children in New York for about 7 years, then moved down here and was a resource room teacher for CMS for about a year. And then I was kind of burnt out. I was very exhausted in all ways.
Yeah.
And I really had to reevaluate, like, okay, what am I doing? I need to decide, like, am I staying or going? And ultimately I decided, okay, I have to leave teaching because it's taking a toll on me. And then I found librarianship, and it's just such a wonderful experience. I love the autonomy of the job and the connections you make with the community. It's just unbeatable. So yeah, that's kind of how it all happened. In summary.
What would you say is one of your favorite things about being a librarian?
The creativity that you can bring, especially in the children's department. I mean, not anything goes, but almost anything silly goes, and the kids love it. The parents appreciate it. And especially like reaching children and helping them love to read, because we know that the statistics are really bad. If they're not reading on level by 3rd grade, things look kind of bad for them. So definitely promoting literacy to help them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, literacy is so important.
Yes.
So that's a really great thing about being a librarian.
Yes.
You get to focus on reading. Do you have a particular book that you enjoy reading to the kids?
I try to change it up all the time, but my latest one that I absolutely love is titled "I Love You Because I Love You," and I think the author is Mary Lynn Ray, if I'm correct. It may not be. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But I love you because I love you, because it's so inclusive, and it's just such a beautiful and well-written children's book. I mean, it's just such a beautiful book.
Yeah, I'm going to have to read it.
Yes.
I haven't read that one yet. I love it. So, Duany, before we started talking, we did this little activity together called a hand map. Would you mind sharing some of the stuff that you wrote on your hand map?
Absolutely. Do you want me to show it?
Sure.
Okay.
That'd be
so
great.
Not an artist, but on the 5 fingers, definitely children's librarian. I'm a wife, a mother. I feel like I'm compassionate and kind. Some of the things that really have formed me is my education, motherhood, my marriage, and definitely spirituality and religion. Well, I guess you asked like what other things supported me. Definitely I grew a lot. So I put self during COVID. I definitely grew a lot. My faith in God, my family, and then of course my career, librarianship, and coworkers.
Yeah.
And when I think about COVID, I think stress, fear, and lots of media. Oh, God, the news was just everywhere. But then what I gained from it was strength and faith, and my family's actually stronger now.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about that? In what ways has your family been unified and strengthened?
So COVID put everything into perspective really quickly, especially because we were isolated together. I mean, we had to depend on each other. And not to say that it was easy. It absolutely was not an easy road. But we came out on the other end like, yeah, you're my team, you're my unit, like if I need something, I can go to you and you can come to me. And even my family in New York, like my relationship with my brother is stronger, and my niece and nephew. It just kind of put everything into perspective and what's important. And for me, it was my family.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing a little bit? Because New York was an extreme hub of severe COVID cases.
Yes.
And just the city was deeply impacted.
Yeah.
Can you share about that? Of how did your family respond to that? And what was it like from their side?
Well, speaking to my family in New York, I mean, the streets were like empty. It was almost like apocalyptic looking, because like for Times Square, because that's a big area, it attracts a lot of visitors, empty. Like it was devastating to see, like, oh gosh, is the world ending? It's like the images that were sent to me were very apocalyptic. Like,
and I can imagine, because that was your previous home. And
yes.
so your memories attached to those places, I cannot imagine what you felt.
And I felt so bad for because most people in New York live in apartments, small apartments. And then if you have children who can't go out and play, I mean, I can't imagine the stress that brought to these families in New York. So it was just very sad. And I just felt stressed for them because I can't imagine, Yeah, it was tough.
I can't imagine, especially during that time where people were locked down and had to isolate and quarantine at home.
Yes.
And to be quarantining in a small apartment with kids and
right.
having to juggle if you worked virtually and your kids doing school virtually.
Yes.
I cannot imagine.
Yes, it was. I feel like it took a definite mental toll on everybody. It was tough.
Did your family end up staying in New York after everything happened, or did some of them end up leaving? Or
well, my brother recently moved to New Jersey, but I don't think it was because of COVID. It was just a natural move for him. But my mom and dad are in New York, and I have cousins and aunts and uncles, and they're all in New York. So they feel comfortable there. So.
And what was that like for you? How did you communicate with them?
Definitely on the phone, texting, FaceTime, all of the technology.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. And so speaking to that, as a librarian, what was that like for you to experience the initial impact of COVID, where we had all those restrictions and then kind of transitioning out of that?
Yeah, so the library, I think, did an excellent job adapting and adjusting really quickly to the technology. I mean, it felt like it was overnight, because at first we were all sent home for weeks and weeks. Like,
wow.
We didn't know. I mean, for me, and I realize now that I was just coming from a space of fear, but I was just like, we're going to get laid off. That's it. We're just going to get laid off. Which didn't happen. County really took care of us, so I'm really grateful about that. And then when we did come back in person, the public could not come in. Okay. So we were doing more like quick pickups type of things where they would order the books and we would have them ready. And so we went through several stages of that. Some of the customers were happy, some of them were not, and it was just so much controversy at the time. But then little by little, the library started to open up and people started to feel better, and then the mask restrictions were eased, and that definitely made everybody feel better, especially for the kids, because it just felt, I understood why we were masking, but it just felt very sad for the kids who are growing up and that's all they know, that, we have to be careful, we can't touch, and I don't know, it just felt extreme, but it was an extreme situation, so we had to respond, accordingly. But I think that was the toughest part, is seeing the kids with masks. Yeah.
How was it for you being a librarian and having to kind of go virtual for a season?
So when we locked down, I was not officially in a position of librarianship.
Okay.
I was in circulation.
Okay.
So I was still considered an assistant. So it actually was okay. And then when we came back in person, it actually opened up a lot of opportunities to me to gain programming experience, because then I could do it virtually, like reading buddies and tutoring. So that actually helped me. It kind of benefited me in trying to get to the position where I am now. So, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Did you find that the kids responded well, or were they struggling with the virtual programming?
I think it just depended. Mm-hmm. I think some of the kids, depended on the day. Some of them were happy just to see someone not their family. Yes. And then, others I think were just what we called zoomed out. They didn't want to do it. So it just depended on the day. I just think it just took such an emotional and psychological toll on everybody that everyone had their good and bad days, and you could see it. You could see it through the camera, which is really interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
Is there a story or an experience, kind of a family or a child that stood out to you?
No, not that I could think of. I think we were all kind of riding the same wave.
Yeah.
Really, we were just all just trying to survive this crazy time. So no one in particular, just all of us kind of riding this crazy COVID wave until we could kind of take a breath and be like, oh, we're okay. We're okay. Or it's going to be okay. So
kind of understanding that the unknown is not the unknown anymore, and just having more knowledge and kind of getting your bearings, right?
Exactly.
As a mom, because you're also a mom, how many kids do you have?
I have 4.
Wow. And what are their ages?
So they are very spaced out in age. I have Jason, who's 23. I have Leah, who's 21. Miles, who's 9, and then Marley, who is 2.
Oh my goodness.
So huge age range.
So what was that like for you with COVID and juggling all this unknown factor with your position at the library and all of that, and just all the media, but also your kids? Like, what was that like for you?
It was so stressful because I was pregnant with Marley at the time. And so I was just super paranoid because there wasn't enough information about how the virus affected pregnant women or how it affected newborns because it was so new. And I just kept thinking like, oh gosh, I have to make it through this. So I was the person like cleaning off all my groceries and not allowing anyone in the house and making sure everything was like pristine, clean, because I was so scared. And again, it was just coming from a space of fear because I kept hearing the few reports that did come out were not good for pregnant women. Women dying and their babies surviving, the baby dying and the mom surviving, or both dying. So I was just very scared. I was just like, oh gosh, how am I going to make it through this, So yeah, I feel like I took it to kind of an extreme as far as like safety and sanitation and making sure that me and my baby were okay or gonna be okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's overwhelming.
It is. It was very overwhelming.
I can imagine.
Yes. And then my 9-year-old, who I guess was 7 at the time now, the virtual schooling was terrible.
Really?
The teacher, I have to give her praise because she was so patient and so kind and just, okay, this is what we're doing. Okay, everyone, pay attention. I mean, she was just so, so nice. But it was hard. Miles, I could see it. Like, he was just so sad because he didn't have that interaction and the routine. You get out of the routine, you know, if you're not going to school, going to work. It's hard to maintain that routine, especially if you haven't set out to be a homeschooling family, you know. Yes. The structure is not there because that's not what you planned for. So I definitely saw the emotional toll it took on my boy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How is he doing now?
He's doing great. He's thriving. I mean, as soon as school started again full time, you could just see the change in him.
Wow.
And when they lifted the mask mandate for the schools, he did even better. Like, you could just see, like, oh, okay, we're okay. And he knows, like, the usual stuff, wash your hands, cover when you sneeze and all that. You know, we still, of course, follow all of that, but it was just so nice to see him happy, you know. Yeah, and happy to go to school, which is like, that wasn't me as a kid. Yes. Oh, but he was so happy to go. Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we have that, something so just crazy happened to us, like COVID, where you couldn't go to school, makes you appreciate when you can do stuff just like that.
Yes.
Regular things.
Absolutely. Yes.
Man. And how was it having your Marley, right? How was it having Marley? Like, still during the pandemic.
Yes.
How was that?
So that was very scary. I went in, I wasn't due yet, but they had to induce me. And the first thing they did, of course, was test me for COVID. So my first question was, well, if I test positive, and the nurses all stopped and looked at me like, do you think you're positive? I was like, no, I don't think so. I've been careful. But then you hear about all these people who were asymptomatic, who didn't have symptoms and came up positive. So I was just like, I'm just trying to prepare myself mentally. And they were like, well, if you test positive, we're going to isolate you and the baby, but together. So I would be put in another wing with the baby for people who have tested positive. So I was like, okay, that's not too bad, you know, at this point. Yeah. But thank God I tested negative. I was able to take my mask off during labor, which was a huge relief. Huge. Oh gosh, yeah, I couldn't imagine having to wear the mask while going through that. And then so when I got home, instead of having family over, I was like, absolutely not. Yeah. I need to talk to her doctor first before we have visits or anything like that. And then at one of her well visits, I spoke to the doctor, her pediatrician, and I asked him, like, is it safe? Like, can I go see her great grandma and introduce her? And he was like, take her to her great grandma. It's okay. Like, just make sure everything is ventilated. If anyone's sick, you know, have them wear a mask, but it's okay. And that just took so much stress off of my shoulders because now I'm like, oh, good. You know, like a little bit more of normalcy and being able to interact and introduce her to her family, you know. So that was a great day. And I just went directly from the doctor's office to her Grammy's house. And then Grandma is so sweet. She's in her 80s. And she came out of her room with a mask on. And I was like, it's okay. You don't have to if you don't want to. The doctor said it's okay because she was well. She was healthy. Yeah. But I just remember that as a very core memory of mine, seeing her walk out, like being respectful and it's a beautiful memory.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So
Wow.
lots of stressful moments, but lots of beautiful things came out of this time too. So, yeah.
Can you remind me one more time, what are some things that you gained from your experience? Because you wrote them down.
Yeah, so I wrote down strength, faith, and a more united family. So definitely my faith has grown. My faith in God, I'm Christian, so my faith in Christ has grown. And just being more compassionate, it's increased my kindness, and just listening to people a little bit more. I feel like I was always pretty decent at that, but now I'm just more like, well, you don't know what they've been through.
Yeah.
So maybe just listen a little bit longer, or at least more intentionally listen to what they're actually saying. Yeah. And that's helped me tremendously working in the library with the public. As it's really affected a lot of people, and people are still recovering, like financially. It's tough.
It is.
It is so tough right now.
So many facets of our lives were impacted.
Yes.
And like you said, financially, businesses, so many people were impacted.
Yes. Yeah.
Your oldest is in their 20s.
Yes.
So were they in college at the time?
No, they were home with me.
They were home with you.
They were home with me. It was like, no, you guys will stay with me until this is over, and let's see what happens. And but they're doing really well now, so I'm really
so glad.
I'm proud of them.
The transitions have been easier.
Yes. I mean, again, like you said, because we were on lockdown and there were so many insecurities and unknowns, we're just happy right now to be able to walk out the door and just do regular things like go to work, go to school, simple things, go hang with your friends. That's huge right now. So we're just really enjoying the simple things right now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It puts a lot of things into perspective.
It really does. Yeah.
Who was kind of your community during the last few years? Like, who supported you, especially during your pregnancy and during your birth and during the unknown of, are you going to have a job? And all of that.
Absolutely. So family and coworkers.
Okay.
I mean, really, truly, my family has been amazing with me, even when I wasn't so nice or amazing.
Yeah.
And more like, go away, you have germs.
Yes.
They've been so understanding and shown me grace, and that's also helped me show grace as well. And then my coworkers were so kind. I was working at the Matthews branch, and they were amazing, from the manager all the way down. They were just so caring and making sure that I was taken care of and that I felt comfortable. And
I love that.
It's just amazing people. I've been really blessed. There are really a lot of good people in the public library system.
That's amazing.
Really good people.
Yeah. I love that you felt so supported during that time frame.
I really did. Even during all the insecurities and again, even when I wasn't being my best self, they showed me grace. They were like, okay, we get it. She's scared. She's having a baby and we don't know what's going to happen, Really good people.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I've been really blessed.
It seems like, so I'm not from Charlotte, but I moved here recently, and getting to know the people that live in the city and work in the city, and it's amazing to see how so many people just supported one another and community really stepped up.
Yes.
And that's incredible to see.
Yes.
Because it's especially when you go through those hard moments, when the isolation and lack of community, that really is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. So it's beautiful to see that you've had such an incredible community surrounding you during all the unknown, during your pregnancy and everything.
Absolutely. I've been very, very blessed, and it's just made me appreciate the simple things and the people around me. And then I tried to pay it forward and be a better person. I'm trying.
I love that. Do you have a specific story that you could share with us about what that looked like for you? a way that you paid it forward, or?
I just try every day to be as patient and kind as possible. Working with the public is not easy. It's not easy. I mean, the community, bless them, but they think that we know everything and that we can do everything, and we just can't. But like I said, just trying to be more patient and understanding and listening to what they need. And then if we can't help them, trying to make sure that I'm like, okay, well, try this resource or try this. I think it's important that we continue to maintain those community, be good to our community and help them, because they are coming to us because they need help, and they know that the library is a resource and it's free. Yes. I mean, where else can you say that? Yes. So I don't have a particular story, but I just try every single day to treat everybody with grace and kindness, and I try to help them as much as I can, because it's important. Yeah. It
is very important.
Yeah, because I mean, people have pride, and it's not always easy to come out and say, hey, I need help. Yes. Can you teach me how? And it'll be something simple like making a copy. So I try never to make anyone feel like, and that's the teacher in me, like, oh, you don't know how to do this. I try to empower them and say, hey, all right, I'll show you how to do it. So next time, you can just do it on your own, So that's how I try to pay it forward.
Yes,
yeah.
I love that. That's so important. Thank you, Duany. Thank you for being that kind, inviting person that you are at a library branch. I know I myself and many others are impacted so much by your kindness and your service and the way that you help and the way that you pay attention. And so that's so important and valuable. And we are so grateful for librarians like you, Duany.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are coming to a close. So I guess I will just ask you 2 more questions.
Sure.
How has your experience over the last few years shaped you as a person?
Absolutely. I feel like I'm a better mom. I'm more in touch with my children's mental health and my own mental health.
I love that.
Yeah, I guess like every mom, we kind of just put it on the back burner, like, oh yeah, I'll take care of myself later. But I realize now that in order to be a good mom, I have to be a good Duany, a good person, and care for my own mental health, and bring, if I have an issue or an emotion, I have to bring it forth and be like, why am I feeling that way? And question myself and kind of work through that. Because I learned that you take it out on people and you don't mean to. And sometimes those are the people closest to you that you take it out on. And that's not healthy, because it starts all these crazy cycles in families. So I'm definitely trying to be more in tune with myself so that I can be a better mom and a better wife and a better daughter, the whole spiel. And I feel like I'm definitely a better employee because I want to help people. I want to help people in the community, especially, marginalized communities or the elderly who come in and they've basically been left behind by all this technology. And I just try to be a better person. And that's what I've really gotten out of these 2 years, like a lot of personal growth. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. What are some self-care practices that you have kind of instilled in your daily?
So I definitely take time, and it sounds so silly, to take deep breaths.
No, that's amazing.
I try to just make sure that I'm if I'm feeling overwhelmed, take nice deep breaths, and kind of be in the moment, and try to stay positive, because, if we survive the past 2 years, we can survive anything at this point. And understand that there is a light at the end of the tunnel when things get tough. Just try to get back to that mindset, like, okay, this is hard right now, but tomorrow's another day. It'll be all right. I'm exercising more. I'm on the treadmill a few times a week, which has really helped me feel better about myself. And just taking time for myself, even if it's like 5-10 minutes, just maybe reading the Bible or reading a book or just anything, or watching silly shows on TV, because right now it's all about like cartoons in my house. It's all cartoons and YouTubers, but sometimes just taking like 10-20 minutes to watch a show that I've wanted to watch in a while,
Yeah.
So those are little things that I've changed in my life.
That.
Yeah.
Little things that add up to make a big difference.
Yes, and I feel better. I feel better overall.
That's so great to hear.
Yeah.
And then my last question is, do you have any additional stories or experiences that you would like to share with us about the last 2-3 years?
Oh gosh. Of course I have to quote or maybe paraphrase Mr. Rogers. Always look for the helpers. And that's what I kept in mind. Like, okay, this is bad, but who's helping? Where can we go for help? And just keeping that in mind. That's the only thing that I could share, is that there's always someone willing to help. You just have to look, but we're there, and I feel like the public library is here to help. So I'm very proud of that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, Duany, thank you so much for your time and for all that you do as a librarian. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.